Then the Brahmins gathered, according to Gopal's instructions, 900 pots of cool water from Govinda Kund. And as they were collecting these pots, there was beautiful kirtans, musical instruments, the singing of women, and thus the festival of the installation took place. Some sang and some danced. All the milk, yogurt, and ghee from the entire village was the festival. Various foods and sweetmeats and other kinds of presentations were brought there. They brought large quantities of tulsi leaves, flowers, various cartons of garments. And then Madhavendra Puri personally began the Abhishek ceremony. First they dispelled all inauspiciousness by the chanting of mantras. Then the deity was massaged with a large quantity of oil so that his body became shiny. After the first bathings, they bathed him with the panchagavya. Panchagavya means cow dung, cow urine, ghee, yogurt, and milk. Then they bathed him in panchamrit, which is the 5 kinds of nectar, which is ghee, yogurt, milk, honey, and sugar. And they bathed him with over 100 pots of water, scented with fine oils, as well as with ghee. This is called the Mahasnan. After the Mahasnan was finished, they again massaged Gopal's body with scented oil. Then again, the last bathing ceremony was performed with scented water kept in a conch shell. After the deity was cleansed, he was dressed nicely with new garments, and sandalwood pulp, tulsi garlands, and other fragrant flower garlands were placed upon the body of the deity. After the bathing ceremony was finished, incense and lamps were burned and all kinds of food was offered before the deity. These food included yogurt and milk and many sweetmeats as they received. As soon as the people of the village had understood that the deity was to be installed, they brought the entire stock of all their foods, all rice, all dal, all vegetables, and they prepared preparations that cover the entire surface of the top of Govardhan Hill. You see, the villagers, they were not concerned in the typical greedy way with their economic development. They were truly Brijvasis in the sense that they knew that everything is simply meant for the pleasure of Krishna. Rupa Goswami says, if you surrender everything you have to Krishna, do not think you will be the loser. You will gain millions of times. So here we find all the villagers. They brought everything they had, all their wealth, all their food stuff, jewelry, fine cloth, garments, simply offering it to Gopal, with not even a thought that how will we survive. Bhagavatam explains, if you water the root of the tree, the whole tree is nourished. If you satisfy Krishna, there is nothing to fear. Krishna is the ultimate provider of everything. Not a blade of grass can move without his sanction. So this was the faith of the Brijvasis. And this is the faith that is required to actually attract the heart of Govinda. This faith that we have nothing to hold back, everything is Krishna's. Let us offer everything. It is sometimes said that Krishna does not see how much you give him, but he sees how much you hold back. So the mood of the real Brijvasis is this. Let us give everything for Gopal. And they just were so happy. For them it was not an austerity, it was a joy to please Krishna. And in the morning the cooking began. 10 Brahmins cooked the food grains, 5 Brahmins cooked both the dry and liquid vegetables. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes all the varieties of preparations that were made. He cannot describe them all. They made huge quantities of chapatis, which were sufficiently covered with ghee, as were all the vegetables, the rice and the dal. They made big mountain of rice. And around the mountain of rice were all the chapatis, the rotis, and all other varieties of vegetables, sweetmeats, and everything. Pots of yogurt, milk, buttermilk, sikharani, sweet rice, cream, and solid cream were placed alongside the vegetables. And in this way the Anakut ceremony was performed by Sri Madhavendra Puri. And he personally offered everything to Gopal. Then they offered him scented water for drinking. And they were in the consciousness that Gopal had been hungry for many days. You see, the true standard of deity worship is not only in the observance of rules and regulations, that must be there, but the true standard of deity worship is the condition of the heart. Whether we have the realization or not, we must have the faith in the Shastra, in the previous Acharyas, in the Guru and the Vaishnavas, that the Murti of Gopal, or Sri Krishna, is none different than Krishna. And out of his great kindness, he is assuming a helpless position just to accept our love and devotion. So Madhavendra Puri and all the Brijvasis, they were very conscious that poor Gopal, he was in the heat, in the cold, in the winds, in the rains. No one gave him any food, no one gave him any water for so many days. So to satisfy him, to please him, they were preparing enormous amounts of prasad, enormous amounts of scented water. Wonderful, wonderful bathing ceremony. It was all done in this consciousness that he is a person. He is a supreme person, Puroshattam. He is the beloved of our hearts, the beloved of our lives. And our perfection and our pleasure in life is only to the extent that we can please him. Of course, this consciousness originates in Srimati Radharani. She is the Bhakta Rupa. She is the personification and the storehouse of all love and devotion. And it is through her that this spirit of complete sacrifice and love for the pleasure of Govinda originates. Radha is not different than Krishna. They are the one supreme person. Krishna is the supreme object of love, and Sri Radharani is the supreme lover. So therefore, great souls like Madhavendra Puri, they are, by the mercy of Sri Radharani, empowered with this spirit of hers in minute portion, just as the jivatma is part and parcel of Krishna. All bhakti, all devotion, all love is part and parcel of the supreme whole of Sri Radhika's love, which is simply how to satisfy Krishna, how to please Krishna in a most personal and wonderful way. How Gopal ate everything that was offered, mountains of food, bhoga that covered the entire surface of the top of Govardhan Hill. And Madhavendra Puri, by his transcendental vision, by the mercy of the Lord, was able to perceive how Gopal ate everything, and yet allowed everything to remain as it was, as his Mahaprasad. Kaviraj Goswami explains that this wonderful festival was all held in one day, and he describes how impossible it was to do, but by the inconceivable potency of Gopal, although no one could understand it, it was done. Similarly, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a story of Sri Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Once in the morning, he approached Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to invite him for prasad at noon. And when Lord Gauranga came, there was such an immense display of Mahaprasad before the deity. Mountains, hundreds and hundreds of preparations, most expertly prepared. And it was all made by Sarvabhauma and his wife. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "You just invited me a few hours ago. How is it possible? It would have taken 10 Brahmin men 10 days to cook all this food. How have you done it in just a few hours?" And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, being a true devotee, he replied that he who this food was meant to be served to, he has cooked it all. I only collected the ingredients. In other words, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, it is by your mercy that it is all done. We are all your assistants. So Madhavendra Puri had this realization as he saw the impossible become possible right before his eyes. And then Madhavendra Puri offered Gopal water for washing his mouth. And then the arti ceremony was performed by Srila Madhavendra Puri himself. And everyone was chanting, Jai Gopal, Jai Gopal. And then arranging for the Lord's rest, Madhavendra Puri brought a new cot and constructed a small little temple around the cot so that Gopal could have a nice private and comfortable place to rest. And then Srila Madhavendra Puri, he gathered all the Brahmins who had prepared the prasad and said, now we must feed everyone sumptuously, from the children up to the aged. And all the people gathered there and sat down to honor the prasad. And they took the food. All the Brahmins and their wives ate first. Not only did the people of Govardhan Hill take prasad, the village, but those who came from other villages, hearing about this festival, they all came. They all saw the deity of Gopal. They were all offered sumptuous prasad.
You were listening to Radhanath Swami on devotionalnectar.com.